They say you're not supposed to whistle at night during Hungry Ghost Month. You're not supposed to swim or sit under trees after sundown or tempt fate with laughter too loud for the month when the gates open and spirits walk among us. I knew all this. Everyone in Singapore does. So when my girlfriend May frowned at me that night, I should have listened. It was humid, the kind of sticky evening where your shirt clings to your back the second you step out of the MRT. Mucus was buzzing around us, neon signs, hawkers shouting, teenagers laughing too loudly, but under it all was that faint undertow of unease that only came once a year. "Do you really want to go to karaoke during the 7th month?" she asked. I grinned at her. "Come on, it's just singing. Aircon, drinks, and some fun." "Don't tell me you're scared?" Her mouth twisted. Not quite a smile, not quite a refusal. She followed me anyway. The KTV was tucked above a shop lot, its sign buzzing with half-dead bulbs. The stairwell smelled of damp carpet and stale smoke. At the reception, a girl with too much eyeliner slid us a keycard and menus without meeting our eyes. Room 7. The corridor was long and dim, music leaking through padded doors, wailing ballads, thumping beats. Our room was at the end. The door was heavy, padded, like something designed to keep sound and maybe other things from escaping. Inside, black faux leather couches, sagging with age, a cloudy glass table sticky with rings, a screen bigger than my living room TV, glowing faint blue. It smelled of beer and sweat and the chemical sting of cleaning solution. "Cozy," I joked. May didn't laugh. She ran her hand along the couch, then snatched it back as if the surface had been too warm. We started singing anyway. At first, it was fun. We shouted over each other, butchered high notes, and clinked our drinks. But little things began to scrape at the edges. The mic buzzed with static, a low crackle like whispering. The screen glitched, lyrics freezing, repeating themselves. Once, in the glossy reflection, I thought I saw something sitting low beside May. Hunched, when the words scrolled again, it was gone. I didn't mention it. The air grew heavy, damper, as if the aircon was pumping mist instead of coolness. May rubbed her arms. "It's freezing," she whispered, though I was sweating. She stopped singing altogether, clutching the mic in her lap, eyes darting to the corner. "What?" I asked. She hesitated. "I thought someone moved." "There's no one here," I said, too quickly. But the speakers hissed, a ripple rising and falling like breath. And then, without my touching the menu, a new track cued. A woman's voice filled the room, low, mournful, singing the first verse perfectly, before the lyrics even appeared on screen. May went rigid, felt the blood drain from my face. The voice cut off, silence pressed in. I forced a laugh. The system's haunted. But when I glanced at the couch beside her, the cushion looked depressed, as though something invisible sat there, head bowed. We ordered more drinks just to break the tension. The server opened the door only a crack, slid the tray inside, and shut it quickly, without ever looking in. That was when I realized the staff never looked too closely at the rooms. They didn't want to. We sang for another half hour, though it felt like forever. May barely whispered along. I tried to keep the energy up, but every so often, I'd catch movement where there shouldn't be any. A reflection in the glass table, the faint impression of legs crouched near her. Finally, I said, "Let's go. Enough for tonight." She didn't argue. We stepped into the corridor, the heavy door thudding shut behind us. My shoulders loosened a little. The lobby's fluorescent lights felt almost safe, until the cashier frowned at us. "Room 7, right? That'll be 3 people, 2 hours." "2 people," I corrected, fishing for my wallet. She shook her head. "No, you came with another lady. Tall, long hair." May's face was drained of color. "There's just us," I snapped. "Check your system." The cashier glanced at her colleague, who avoided her eyes. Then, reluctantly, she said, "Wait!" She led us behind the counter to a bank of monitors. The CCTV feeds flickered, black and white. She rewound the tape for room 7. There we were. May was on the couch while I was standing with a microphone in hand. And between us, a third figure. A woman standing hunched, her hair hanging like a curtain, her face hidden as she stared at the floor. She never moved, never looked up. My stomach turned to ice. The footage rolled on. Songs came and went. They shifted. I laughed. The ghost never moved. Until the end. When we left together, the crouching woman rose. She followed, never lifting her gaze from the floor, walking in step behind us. I stumbled back. May covered her mouth. The cashier didn't say a word. She just reached over and voided the bill. "Go," she whispered. We didn't argue. The taxi ride home was silent. The city blurred past outside, neon bleeding into the night. I couldn't stop seeing that figure in my head. The way she rose and followed, head bent, patient. Even when we unlocked my door and stepped inside, I kept glancing behind me, waiting for the sound of one more pair of footsteps. And sometimes, even now, when I wake at night and the room is too dark, I swear I hear faint humming. A woman's voice, low and mournful, singing to herself. I need to see a spiritual master. Hauntings don't announce themselves with screams or shadows. Sometimes they slip quietly into the corners of your life, into the familiar. For me, it started on an ordinary evening in our HDB flat. We lived in an executive 5-room, long corridors, pale walls, the kind of layout you can walk through blindfolded. The living room opened into the hallway that led to our bedrooms. My piano sat in the living room, facing that corridor. A glossy black upright lacquered so smooth you could see your own reflection in it like a mirror. That night, we were all gathered together. My parents were on the sofa. My younger sister curled up in the armchair. Our cat sprawled across the rug like a spilled shadow. The TV played some forgettable movie, the sound low enough that we could still hear each other laugh. Normal. Safe, until my sister frowned. She wasn't watching the TV anymore. She was staring at the piano. More specifically, at the bottom half, where the lacquer reflected the corridor. "What?" I asked. She didn't answer. Her eyes narrowed, lips moving as she silently counted. Then she blurted out, 1, 2, 3, 4. Her gaze swept across us. She even pointed at the cat. Finally, she looked back at me. Her face had gone pale. "Someone is walking in the corridor." The words hit like ice water. I turned immediately. Nothing. Just a long hallway, dimly lit, door shut. But when I followed her gaze back to the piano, my stomach twisted. The lacquer reflected the corridor perfectly, and in that glossy surface, I saw what she had seen, a pair of legs. They were halfway down the hall, walking steadily towards the bedrooms. Bare, pale, nobody above the knees, just legs, as if the rest had been swallowed by shadow. I blinked, hard. I looked back at the corridor itself, empty. I looked at the piano again. The lights were still there, moving step by step. My father frowned. "What nonsense are you talking about?" But even he leaned forward, squinting at the piano's surface, and I saw his lips pressed tight when he, too, saw movement. The cat hissed then, its back arched, fur standing on end. It bolted from the rug, streaked across the room, and vanished under the sofa. No one spoke. The legs walked all the way to the end of the hall in the reflection, then stopped, right in front of the bedrooms. We sat frozen, breath shallow, straining to hear. Nothing came, no footsteps, no creak of doors. Finally, my mother said too quickly, "It's the TV. Reflections, trick of the light." But when I reached for the remote and clicked the screen black, the legs remained, now motionless. Waiting. That night, none of us slept easily. I shut my bedroom door, though it didn't make me feel safer. Lying in the dark, I swore I could hear faint scuffing in the corridor, as though bare feet brushed against tile. In the morning, everything seemed normal. Sunlight banished the shadows. My sister laughed about it nervously, saying maybe she'd imagined it. My father dismissed it entirely. But I couldn't let it go. Days later, it happened again. This time, I was alone in the living room practicing scales on the piano. The keys clattered in the stillness, the sound bouncing off the walls. Out of the corner of my eye, in the reflection, I caught movement. I stopped playing. There they were again, legs, walking slowly down the corridor, but this time, they weren't alone. Behind them, another pair, smaller, childlike. Both sets moved in perfect unison, step by step. Until they reached the bedrooms, it disappeared. I turned so fast I nearly toppled the bench. The corridor was empty, silent. When I looked back at the piano, the reflection showed only myself, wide-eyed and pale, hands trembling above the keys. From then on, it became a pattern. Some evenings, nothing happened. Others, the reflection showed those legs. Sometimes one pair, sometimes more. Always walking, always towards the rooms. Once, my sister swore she saw them stop in front of her door, lingering, shifting weight from one foot to the other. We tried ignoring it, pretending it was nothing. But the house felt different. The air seemed charged like before a storm. The cat refused to go near the corridor. If the full moon is when the gates swing open, then the end of the 7th month is when they slam shut. But nothing about it is gentle. Spirits do not leave quietly. By the final days of Ghost Month, the offerings are almost gone. The food grows cold, the incense turns to ash. The river lanterns burn low, drifting far into the dark until they look like stars drowning. The air feels heavier than ever because every wandering ghost knows the time is running out. Some cling to doorways, some crouch under trees, some linger by rivers. They do not want to return to the underworld, where hunger gnaws without end. And that is why the closing days are said to be the most dangerous of all, because this is when the desperate spirits fight hardest to stay among us. The old people would tell you the rules grow stricter here. Leave one last offering, rice, fruit, tea, so that no spirit feels cheated. Burn your final paper money and bow low as the smoke climbs into the night. Stay indoors before midnight, because that is when the ghosts grow frantic. But don't take the lanterns from the river. They are not souvenirs. Don't turn your head if you hear your name called at night. It might be your last. Don't move house. Don't marry. Just don't start something new, for beginnings belong to the living, and this month is for the dead. And above all, when the gates are about to close, don't be outside, because when the great doors of the underworld begin to shut, the spirits who haven't yet crossed will claw for a place to hide. In the shadows, in corners, in you. The end of Ghost Month is not a relief, it is a struggle. And sometimes, the gates don't take everyone back. And that's when the nightmares begin. If you like the story, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. This really helps us out.